Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Jen, and we are doing a common health concern episode today on constipation.
So this is something that people either live with their whole lives, not knowing that there's a solution, or they have it and don't know what to do with it. So constipation can happen for a lot of different reasons, which is why there's so many things out there that could work. One thing that I obviously am a chiropractor, so that's what I do. I adjust patients. I had a 3-month-old baby that had been brought to me when he hadn't had a bowel movement in a week. Took him to the pediatrician. They're like, oh, wait a couple more days. Well, you've got a screaming kid. I don't care if it's an hour, but days would be miserable, you know? So she brought him to me and I adjusted his sacrum, which is the bone in the middle of the pelvis. And I'm a pretty deep adjuster, so we got a good audible. The thing moved right back into place for sure. And I did my other adjustments that were a little bit gentler. And I can be very gentle or I can be very deep. And it depends on the person's body, their age, all that stuff. So I'm not going to adjust the same way for every person. So anyway, I adjusted his sacrum pretty deep, got some good movement there, and did the rest of the adjustments. And he let out a scream, was totally irritated with me, obviously, and or with whatever he was feeling. I mean, I'm sure pushing on his backside with a gut full of poop for the last week was probably not super comfortable either, you know. So I adjusted him and he screamed and then calmed right down and passed out. And his mom was like, is he okay? I'm like, he's fine. So I had her in the office with me for another half hour. We were talking about things, what to do, what she's eating, breastfeeding, all of that stuff can make a huge, huge difference. So anyway, he woke up about 25, 30 minutes later with poop literally all the way up to his neck. Like his body just was like, oh, thank God, you know, and got everything moving really, really nicely. Yeah. So it works for adults. It works for kids. It works for pretty much everybody if they have a sacral issue. Like I said, some chiropractors adjust slightly and they may or may not be getting the same results. So I can't say as far as different, and everybody reacts differently to the over 200 different chiropractic techniques. So it's all dependent upon how your body reacts with that technique. The other thing, acupuncture can work very well for some people. Opening up different energetic channels and stuff like that can be really helpful as well. I also do soft tissue work in the ileocecal valve to help release that and help that valve open and close like it should. Same thing with the valve of Houston. And I also check for a hiatal hernia, subclinical. Sometimes it can show up clinically on scopes, but I do gentle soft tissue adjustments and it doesn't feel so soft if you've ever had your hiatal hernia pulled down. But it makes
I've only heard stories about it.
Yeah, it's not super comfy, but it's short term, like it's a short-lived experience, but it works. And so it helps with a lot of acid reflux, GERD type stuff as well. But you've got 3 valves basically that make an equilateral triangle. And so you've got the stomach here, so that cardiac valve and everything, so that stomach can be pulled down. But then you've got the ileocecal valve and the valve of Houston. So if one of those is off, it kind of screws everything else up. So having that balance in the body is super, super important. The other thing is a lot of people aren't drinking enough water. I mean, just fair and square, it's the cheapest, easiest thing that you can do. Drink enough water. Well, I can't. Well, good. I hope you enjoy being constipated. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So... I mean, if that's it, I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. Like, drink your freaking water. And if you need to, put some Himalayan salt in it so that the body can utilize the water better. The other thing is I use 3 other supplements: probiotics, magnesium oxide, and some sort of liver support. So the liver tends to have a huge impact on the gut. It has over 500 functions and can make a huge, huge difference on different hypertension type issues in the body. So like hepatic portal hypertension can also increase issues with constipation. So a liver supplement of some sort, whether it's And it's not going to be the same thing for every person. So it could be a combination or just directly milk thistle, dandelion, NAC, something to help support that liver a little bit more. Even eating greens are going to be really helpful with that. Plus they have extra fiber and stuff like that, which is going to help. So mag oxide, a lot of people are taking different magnesiums, like, oh, I've been taking a ton of magnesium glycinate. I'm like, well, that's not going to get you pooping generally. So magnesium oxide is the one that gets you pooping. So sometimes a combination of the mag oxide or magnesium oxide with one or two other magnesiums, like a mag citrate, mag glycinate, something like that, can also be helpful. And taking those at night so that has a chance to work on your gut the entire night. Also, probiotics, they're all very different in what they have. I tend to find that PB8 is a great option. And so I'll tell patients, look, take it up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start with 1 every night, then go up to 2, go up to 3 every night, increase it by 1. There's a lot of other probiotics out there that are great. I just find that this works really, really well for even infants. Opening the capsule and dumping a little bit in their mouth before each breastfeeding, or half a capsule at a time until the baby's pooping, can make a huge, huge difference.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, it's way easier and way safer than trying to do an enema on an infant, you know? So yeah. So
that does not sound like fun.
Not for the mom or for the baby. I can't even imagine. I wouldn't want someone doing it on me. Like, I'm good. And I would be understanding what's happening, right? You're like, what are you doing? So, but PB8 has a really good balance of probiotics. And like I said, it doesn't have to be that one, but it definitely works. And people start with 1 a night at bedtime. And then if that doesn't seem to do much, go up to 2. Then the next night, go up to 3, and keep going up until you hit a tolerance level. And my goal is literally, I want you to wake up in the morning and go, oh, I have to poop. And you get up and you go straight to the bathroom. Then the next night, maybe bring it down by 1. And if you don't have the same reaction, then bring it back up. So you kind of play with it. And it can be dependent upon your diet, obviously, including how much water you're drinking or not drinking. If you're drinking a ton of caffeine, which is very dehydrating, then you're going to have to drink more water. So it can be the combination of the probiotic, the mag oxide, and any kind of liver support as well. And I do have some people who are doing cleanses and they'll add a bunch of fiber, and sometimes the fiber can actually constipate as well, depending on what's going on with the pH of the gut and the gut flora and stuff like that. So I don't tend to tell people like, hey, go do fiber, because that can go either direction for most people. And senna, and I know people are going to bring that up too, there's senna tea, and that can be really, really helpful for some people, but it's not going to fix the underlying issue. So if we can support the liver and we can increase the probiotics and get that gut recolonized and get enough water in, then generally, and remove any mechanical issue too, like the sacrum needing to be adjusted or the low back, that can make a huge difference as well. So we don't want to just keep stuffing rags in the holes of a sinking boat, like I've said in the past, right? We want to try to find out what's happening and go from there. And if I'm not there taking care of you individually, like, these are some ideas that you can do for yourself and your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And PB8 is an excellent probiotic. You've put me on it off and on over the years for different reasons. It really does work. It's the only one I take if I ever need to take a probiotic. That's just my go-to because I know it works. So yeah, for what it's worth, I've been on it and had great results. So,
well, and some women might do better with a women's probiotic. I like the one from Designs for Health. It works really well. There's a couple of other women's ones from like Metagenics and stuff like that. But I also use Mega Sporebiotic from Microbiome Labs, which I love as well. So once again, like, if one of those isn't doing it for you, go to a different probiotic. Try something different, because they're all so different, which is why there's a million of them out there, and it's super confusing because our gut flora isn't all the same for each individual, and it's not the same even through our entire cycles and through the entire month. And then what we're eating dinner, and we jack something up because we eat junk, and then here we go again. So so Mega Sporebiotic is another great one. There's a lot of them out there. I have quite a few at my office because it's not a one size fits all thing, but the PB8 tends to be a pretty decent one, especially for babies. I find that instantly any kind of gut pain, you can open up a capsule and dump half the capsule. And, it's dry and they're not used to that. So they cough or choke a little bit and the parents freak out. I'm like, no, it's because of the texture. And you just dumped it down their windpipe as they're breathing. Here, breathe in. Let me throw one in your mouth and, the contents of powder, and see if you choke when it goes in and it hits your lungs. So I tell them to put it in the cheek, and literally within probably a minute to 5 minutes, their gut is completely calming down. They're not screaming. It can make a huge difference for babies, but as well as for adults.
Now, can they put it like in their bottle?
They can, but it tends to leave the residue. It tends to end up still in their bottle and doesn't come through the nipple as easily. I mean, it can, but I just find that it's easier you're going to get better results than waiting for an entire bottle to get down there. And the other thing is too, you got to remember, and this isn't one of the pediatric episodes, but a baby's stomach is the size of a marble the day they're born. And by day 3, it's the size of a shooter marble. And by day 10, it's the size of a ping pong ball. So, they're at the hospital or they're at home and they're getting 4 ounces of formula in and they're throwing up. And you're like, well, yeah, you just overfilled a bucket.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's something very little at the very beginning as far as food goes. So sometimes they're overfed for sure. And then they end up with GI issues because of that. So, but getting the probiotic in before you even feed them, regardless of whether it's breastfeeding or formula feeding, can make a gigantic difference.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. I'm sure lots of moms can use that if they need to. That's such a simple solution,
Well, yeah, but I'm a miserable screaming child, and I'll give it a few more days. I'm like, you can't give it another 5 minutes of your kid screaming, I mean, that was me anyway. I was like, no. There was one pediatrician where I used to live, and patients would come in and they had said, well, if the baby hasn't had symptoms for over a week, don't bother coming into my office. And I was like, does she have children? And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, I could tell. Because there's no way I'm going to do nothing for my kid for the first week to see how this plays out. Like, here's some ideas. Let's fix this. Nobody wants their baby miserable. And then, of course, you're miserable too because you can't sleep. You can't do anything else. So, yeah. So some easy solutions for sure for a lot of patients.
Well, and I mean, I love that this tip just in general for people. I mean, constipation is miserable. So there's an option out here. It's simple, it's effective. So I'm just glad we're talking about this in general. Everybody's like, oh, they don't want to talk about the fact that they're constipated, but a lot of people are walking around in the world right now that are constipated and they're not talking about it. They're not dealing with it.
And some people are like, well, I poop every 3rd or 4th day. I'm like, that would be called constipation. So, and then other people say, no, you're supposed to poop after every meal. And I'm like, that to me would be irritable bowel syndrome. Let's be real. But for some people that would be their norm, and maybe they are emptying all the way, maybe not. So everybody's a little bit different, but I know some people will try castor oil, and castor oil can cause a lot of cramping. And so I'm like, let's not make things worse if possible. So liver support, magnesium oxide if necessary, but start with water and probiotics for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And chiropractic or acupuncture, try something like that. And of course, cranial sacral can work. There's a lot of modalities out there. I'm not saying those are just the only ones, but what I'm doing in my practice, I can see the immediate differences. So
yeah. Well, and you're speaking from experience and what works on your patients. So, I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? Is it's just sharing the knowledge and what and all your years of being in practice, what works. So hopefully it helps our listeners and they can get regular. Thank you, Dr. Jen. Thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't joined our school community yet, I'll put the link in the show notes below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.